Hello everyone, my name is Senshi. I'm 12 years old. Today I'm going to present about the beautiful China, Japan. So let's look through the Chinese and Korean influences on Japan during the medieval time. So first thing you need to know is that Korea at that time has to be obedient to Chinese. They also had to pay tax to Chinese too because they don't want to upset China or to get in trouble with China because of their landscape. And so Korean people or Korea taken the way of life in China, and with China they actually influence Japan to do the same thing. They influence the Japanese writing system, government system, and the Buddhism too. So first let's look at the early Japan to Fujiwara. So first in the 10,000 BCE in Japan there are hunters and gatherers like the old ancient times. Hunters and gatherers. Then there came the Roman people. These Roman people lived there until people start growing rice. Then until the 200 to 300 CE. That's when they start to have the Tomba culture and with the Shinto religion. So the Shinto religion is a religion before Buddhism travels through influences from China and Korea to Japan. So let's look at Buddhism in Japan. In Japan, Buddhism is divided into three sects. The first sect is the Shingon sect. This focuses on rituals like dancing, praying. Then we have the Tendai sect, which involves or joins into practice for nirvana, which is to get away from or escape from suffering. And finally, Zen, which is the most popular of all sects in Buddhism in Japan. They are practiced by samurai warriors, of course, and it uses a meditation field. Samurai warriors would think and believe and meditate and pray. That's what the Zen sect is for. And then we move on to the Japanese art and theater. You would like to go to theater, right? In the early Japan, actually movies were were very simple, not like Pokemon or even Hello Kitty or those films or animes that you can find in Japan like that, like One Piece, etc. But One Piece is my favorite. And so in the early time or in the medieval time, Japan's art is very simple but very powerful. It minimizes its hardness but actually maximize its powerfulness. So first we have the calligraphy, which is the way they write or the writing system in Japan in the medieval time. They based on the Chinese alphabet and then also created their own alphabet too. And today they still use those two alphabets. Let's move on to let's move on to the next part of art, which is art itself. The art in the ancient Japan, ancient times, I mean like in the medieval time, they are very simple. They are usually the landscape of Japan or the history of Japan, very colorful. Then they have toys that are called okiagari, which are toys that give the children the lesson on tensity or how tense people want to be. When they fall down, they could always be able to stand up. Well, I could see the scene in Doraemon, which is in Japan's nowadays movie and stories. And finally, we can move on to the theater. So the first kind of theater is when they only do their rituals, which is dancing. Then they evolved into the No and Kabuki theater. And the No theater is based on Buddhism. It started in the 13th and it's based on Buddhism beliefs or Buddhism ways, the way in Buddhism. It uses masks. Actually, those who act, the actors who wear masks to show emoji. But in the Bakure theater, which is also now seen with the No theater, you can actually see them wearing bright clothes, very beautiful, and they dance. Yeah, so it's just like these modern days. Let's move on to literature, the tale of Genji. So the tale of Genji, let me tell you about the tale. So Genji was a Japanese prince when he got kicked out of Japan by the new emperor because he doesn't love our Genji guy. So Genji moved away from Japan and get married to a princess and have a son. Later on, his wife left him to become a Buddhist nun while his son reclaimed the throne, becomes the king, of course, or the emperor. And so he moves into the palace back to Japan to live with his family. That shows the grammar, the writing, and the social rules of Japan. That's like the earliest novel you can find in Japan. Next, and finally, we have feudal Japan. So in Japan, there are ranks. The highest rank in feudal Japan is actually the military dictator rank, or just the military leader rank. So let me tell you about the ranking system in Japan, in the early Japan, of course. So in the early Japan, from the 808 BCE, BCE, there were clans until the 85 BCE, so it starts from 858, 18, it starts from the 818 CE until the 1185 CE. That's when the clans are still warring, and the clan that gets to the top is the Fujiwara clan, because why? They let their children to actually be into the royal family. So yeah, they're connected to the royal family. So they go on to be the top clan for a certain amount of time before they are shoguns. So let me explain you about clans first, then about shoguns. So what are clans? They are unrelated people but connected families who fight together and beat other clans to get to the highest role, which is like below emperor. But the best way is always used by the best clan, the Fujiwara clan, which had already get into the royal family, and then they just rule Japan for a certain amount of time before shoguns appear. First shogun, Yoritomo, is a military dictator. So a shogun is a military leader, but Yoritomo actually becomes a dictator, a military dictator. He trains samurai warriors into his team. He doesn't want his samurai warriors to get corrupted by royalty. And he is even more powerful than the emperor. Oh my god, that's dead for. So, head off for the emperor. And let's see about the samurai warriors. The samurai warriors either work in the military or they're gonna get hired by daimyo, which are powerful lords, but not more powerful than the emperor, of course, or even the military. They hire the samurai warriors to protect them. They are should be rich to actually hire samurai workers. Now warriors, all these are just workers. The samurai warriors must always carry a sword to protect their master. There. And so that's the life of Japan in the medieval time. So thank you for your listening and goodbye. 6 time.